Do you want to be more self-confident? Maybe you want to be a little bit more productive. Maybe you want to be a little bit happier. Research shows that if we do this one thing, we can increase self-confidence by 64%. We can be more productive, 67%. And we can be 71% happier. So what the world has told us up until now and how we are conditioned is that we need to go and buy something to maybe be happier. We need to eat or drink something. We need to change something about our appearance. We need to go buy a new car or maybe live in a different suburb. So this one thing that we can do is quite inexpensive, and it just takes a little bit of your time every day, every week, in order to then achieve more productivity, be more confident, and be happier. So this one thing that I'm referring to is self-care. So what is self-care? Self-care is the act that we do when we love ourselves. So the textbook's definition of care is that we pay special attention, that we apply consideration, and that we attach importance to something. So if we love ourselves, then it will be natural for us to go and act out loving acts. And self-care are definitely one of those loving acts. So there's 5 ways that we can take care of ourselves. And that is what I wanted to dive into today and look at each section then individually. So let me share these 5 areas of self-care. So the first one is our mental self-care. Then we have our emotional. Then we have physical self-care. Then we have our spiritual self-care. And lastly, our social self-care. So let's dive into each one. So mental self-care really just means that we are expanding our brain capacity, that we are growing and learning all the time. And the only way we can learn and grow is by setting goals for ourselves and challenging ourselves. It is getting ourselves out of our comfort zone, doing new things. That's how we can mentally take care of ourselves. So the second one is emotional self-care. Emotional health care or self-care really refers to us looking after our feelings and making sure that we, and as the definition says, pay special attention to our feelings. Dr. Susan Davids talks about feelings, and she says that feelings are rather signposts and not directives. Because we think sometimes when we are like overwhelmed and maybe angry and frustrated, that gives us a reason to go and act it out. We go and we want to scream or yell at someone. But as self-care states, we just need to pay special attention to those feelings. So we can identify them, and then we can just get curious. We can just investigate, ask ourselves a little bit more questions about why it's there, and then we can process it. So the third one is physical self-care. So that's one that a lot of people either struggle with, they love it, or they hate it. So looking after our bodies really just means that I want to make sure that my body is an asset, not a liability. So that is working out on a regular basis, eating healthy, and also making sure I get enough sleep and manage my stress. So managing my stress also then takes us back to that emotional self-care. Then number 4 is our spiritual self-care. That is our connection with our true self. It's also connection with our higher power. And that can be done through prayer, meditation, to do maybe grounding exercises, to take a walk in nature. It can be done by something like journaling. And then I come to the last one, which is social self-care. So we are, as humans, not an island. We are surrounded by people and we interact with people all the time. So that if I want to take care of myself in that way, it is how am I interacting? How am I communicating with others? How am I listening? How am I just like loving others? How am I building those relationships? People ask me all the time, how do I love myself more? What does it even mean to feel love towards yourself? So my answer to that would be, if we go back to this formula. So if I want to feel more loving towards myself, if I want to love myself more, I need to make sure that I have thinking that supports that love. I need to believe good things about myself. If I go the entire day putting myself down, telling myself I'm not worthy or enough, or I don't have anything to offer other people, then that's not going to create me to feel love towards myself. So I need to make sure that I tell myself things that is kind and that is loving, so that thoughts can create that feeling of love. And then when I have love, then I go and act it out by doing those self-care actions that I've given you, those 5 ways and 5 areas that we can practice self-care and self-love. So can it be that self-care can be the answer to not all of it, but maybe some of our problems in our lives? Self-care is an act of self-love. And if we have self-love and we take care of ourselves, then it means we're increasing our confidence, productivity, and we live happier lives. Thank you for being here. I'll see you in the next video.